Welcome back to our picture YouTube channel. Today's class we are going to learn how to make this beautiful shoulder cape with pointed shoulder as we have seen. It's a very simple tutorial and it's beginner friendly. If this is something you would like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. Okay, so to make this, I already have my bodies. Okay, so this is my bodies. This is where I'm placing it. If you are making a dress, you must have made your dress, so you must have cut them. So for this, it's a V neckline. You can see the neckline is V shaped as we have seen. For the front, I used the width of 3 inches by 7 inches for front, and then the back I used 3 inches by 1 inch. So you cut it out with your lining, but this is just for tutorial purpose. That's why you see all of this. That's why I did not line mine. So for the cape, I'm going to be cutting it on this paper. You can also cut directly on your fabric, but I just want us to see what I'm doing very well. That's why I'm cutting on paper. So the measurement that I'm working with for this is around, okay, my paper is around 24.5 inches. That's what I'm going to be using. It's totally up to you and the length that you want. So for me, I want the length to just be a little below the waistline, okay, just around that curved part. I don't want it too long. So if you want yours to be longer, you can just increase the measurement. So for this, my cape length is going to fall around between 18 to 20 inches. Okay, so it's totally up to you and what you want. So for the width, my paper is on fold, so that's how your fabric is also going to be on fold. So for the width, you can use between 18 to 20 inches, or I'm using 18 inches because this is a yard fabric, so it's 36. By the time you put it on fold, I'll have 18 inches, which is what I have here. Okay, sorry, my camera is not focusing. Okay, so I have 18 inches here as you have seen, and this is the fold point. So now this is how we are going to take our measurements. So the first thing you need to note now is to go down by, you leave some allowance. So the measurements that you need for this allowance is your shoulder measurement minus your neck width. For example, my shoulder measurement is 14 inches. 14 divided by 2 is going to give me 7 inches. Okay, so because this is just like a pointed cape, it's not going to be exactly on my shoulder line, so I'm going to be adding extra 1 inch depending on how depending the amount of extension you want for this. So I'll add extra 1 inch to it, and it's going to leave it at 8 inches. So now this 8 inches, if I deduct my neck measurement, okay, I'm going to be left with 5 inches for the shoulder, so which is what I'm going to come off with. So from this upper part here, I'm going to measure the 5 inches downwards, and then I'll make that into a straight line. I hope you understand that. So after marking this upper part, remember this is the fold point. Okay, so after marking this upper part, we're going to take our shoulder measurement on this line from the fold point. So on this line, I'm going to take my shoulder measurement of 7 plus 1, which is 8 inches. So I have the 8 inches here, and then I'm going to take my back neckline measurement. Remember the cape is joined to the back neckline at the back. So the back neck width that I worked with was 3 inches, and then the depth that I worked with was 1 inch. If you worked with 1.5 inches, you mark it. Okay, it has to run because you're still going to sew them together. So I'm going to connect like this. So after connecting, I'm going to go down for my shoulder slope, just like we draft our normal bodies. I'm coming down by 1 inch, and then I'm connecting that to my neck depth. So that's for my shoulder slope. Okay, so now for us to be able to sew this collar to create the shoulder, remember we came up here by 5 inches. For the extra 5 inches that we have here, you can see that we have exactly 5 inches after taking out our neckline. So now this 8 inches that I have here, I'm just going to take it up as well, so that I can have a straight line. Okay, so after taking it up, to create that curve, that round curve that we see there, I'm going to note the midpoint on this other end. That's the open end. So you can simply just fold this paper like this, and then you note the midpoint. So this is just to guide you in drawing your curve. So now this is the back, and here I'm going to mark the front. So now to connect this curve, I'm going to come down by 2 inches, because for my neck width, the front is just going to come here by 2 inches. The cape is going to rhyme with my front by 2 inches before before I shape it to that shape that we see on the thumbnail. So depending on what you want, it can be 1, it can be 2, but for me, I'm going to be coming out here by 2 inches, which is this, and then I'm going to connect from that point all the way to this 1/2 inch that we mark. You can use your curve for this, or you can use your freehand like I'm doing. And then on this other side as well, you're going to curve this from here all the way to the hem. So here now I'm going to curve it to the hem as well. Okay, so I'm not curving up to this point because I don't want it to be too tiny here. So you can see how I just stop my curve here, and then I'm going to rhyme it with the back. So this is the shape that we have for our cape now, and that is about all you need to do. So now, using your scissors, I'm going to cut out this curve first. Then after cutting out the curve, I'm going to go ahead and cut out the neckline. Okay, so after cutting the curved area, now I'm going to cut out my neckline. I'll cut my shoulder slope, and then I'm going to cut it upwards like this. Okay, so now this is going to be longer by 1 inch because remember I went down for my shoulder slope, and this has to match with my shoulder points. Okay, here this and this are going to be our shoulder points. We have to join them together to get that pointed edge. So whatever I have here, which is 5 inches, I'm going to make sure that is what I have here as well. So now with my marker, I'm going to mark out my 5 inches again, and then I'm going to reconnect. So if what you have here is more than 2 inches and you want to use exactly 2 inches, you just need to redraw your curve. Okay, I hope you understand that. So now I'm going to reshape this. Okay, so now when you open it up, this is the shape you're going to have. Okay, this is our back neckline, this is our shoulder, and this is our shoulder as well. Okay, so more like the shoulder for the front, for the back, and the shoulder for the front, and we are going to sew them together, which is why they have to align. So now when you sew them together, this is what you're going to have, and this is your neckline. So now if you want to shape the neck the front neck anyhow you want, at this point you can now bring in your bodies. Okay, and then I'm going to arrange it the way it's going to be. So this is the back, you match the shoulder together. Okay, you can see that they align, and this is the front. So now after joining my shoulder, this is how the front is going to be. So you can see that from the upper part now it comes like this. So if there's any particular shape that you want for this, maybe you want it to come in before coming out again, whatever shape you want to create with this, now you can resize it to any design of your choice. So if this is what you want, all you just need to do is to bring them together again after marking that shape, and then you reshape it, then you place it again. I'm just showing us how we can actually play around this to get whatever it is that we want. So now I'm just going to go ahead and cut this on my fabric. I'll just place it on my fabric and cut it out. Then after cutting it out, I'll bring it back to show us what it looks like. So I have cut out my cape on my fabric now, and you can see the shape that I have. So opening it up, this is what it looks like. So because I'm going to be lining this, I cut 2 of it. You can line with whatever fabric you want. If you don't want to line this, then it means you have to find a way to make all of these rough edges neat. You can serge it, or you use your bias. Okay, so this is what I have. This is my neckline, and this is my shoulder point, and then you can see that the shoulder matches just like I have it there, and this is the 2 inches before it now goes anyhow you want it to go. So now this is what I have. The next thing I'm going to do now is to go ahead and sew all of the edges so that I can turn it out neatly. So it depends on you. You can actually add interfacing to this if you want. Okay, so you can see the edge here. Like I said, I don't want it too sharp. That was why I make sure that my curve did not get here. So I want this round part that I have there to just look like that. So now I'm not adding interfacing to this. I'll just go ahead and then sew this all round and bring it back to show us what it looks like. Okay, so as you have seen now, I've gone ahead to sew it all around. You can see I sew all of the curve like this, and then I sew my neckline as well. This is because you must have turned your main bodice. Remember, this cape only goes to the back neckline and a little bit of the front neckline. It doesn't go all the way on the front neckline, so you must make sure that you clean up all of this, because your cape is not going to cover it up for you, especially the front. You can use it to turn the back, but it's not going to work for the front, which is why I recommend that you turn your dress independently, and then you make sure that your cape as well is neat. So with this, you can even just place it on your shoulder without sewing it to your dress. So now I'm going to bring my scissors and then notch this neckline so that it can turn easily for me. And then I'm going to turn all of this outside through the shoulder. Remember, we are still yet to join the shoulder. I'm going to turn it out through the shoulder. You can also notch the round part as well. And then after turning it out, you iron, like I said. Okay, so I'm going to iron this later. I'll just continue with the tutorial so that we can just take it all at once. So after bringing everything out, this is the back neckline, and you can see that it is clean now. So we only have this shoulder. So what you're going to do now is to just place your shoulder against each other like this, and then you go ahead and sew it. So now you can sew it anyhow you want. You can just sew it like this and serge it. You can use French seam, or you can just cover it up with your bias, so that it's going to be really neat. You just make sure that you make it as neat as possible. So you go ahead and sew your shoulder on this part as well, after which you can now place your garment already turned as well, and then you place it on each other like this. Then you sew it down, and then for the front you sew a little bit of the front as well. So I'll just go ahead and sew my shoulder and then iron this part as well. Okay, so I've gone ahead to sew my shoulder. You can see I've joined them together, and like I said, you make sure that it is as neat as possible. And then I want to iron it a bit. Okay, so you still do your proper ironing, and then when you turn it to the right side, this is what the shoulder is looking like. You can see that it is clean both in and out. So now what I'm going to do now is to bring in my, I don't have enough fabric. I would have used facing to turn it, but I'm just going to place it like this. Okay, I'll first hold it with a pin, and then I'm going to sew it down. Okay, so I have pinned it now. I'm just going to go ahead and sew my 2 inches and at the front, and then I'm going to sew the back as well. So now this is what it's going to look like, and like I said, you can actually shape your front anyhow you want it to come out in the front as well. So this dress does not have a zipper at the back because of this cape. Okay, you can see how the cape is. Once you place a zipper or you separate the cape, it's going to spoil the design that we want to go for. So it is better you work with a stretchy fabric. Okay, but if you don't want to work with a stretchy fabric, if you are doing this with like a satin fabric, it means your head can pass through it, because the neckline is quite wide. You can see it's a very deep V neckline in front, but for your body to pass through your waistline, it means you have to open your side, and then you insert a zipper at the side so that you can wear it freely. So I'll go ahead now and sew it, and then take it to the mannequin so that you can see what it looks like. Okay, so this is what the capes look like on the mannequin. You can see this is the neckline. So make sure you turn the neckline of your dress, and then you can just use your hemming gum to glue them together if you don't want to have seam line, or you can just place it on your shoulder as well if you don't want it sewn, since both of them will be neatly finished. This is the pointed shoulder. You can raise it by adding interfacing to your fabric. Remember, this is just my fabric and it is soft, so you can see you can also place a shoulder pad there if you want, and then you make sure you iron it very well. So you do a proper ironing. So you can see this side I have ironed a bit, and this side is not ironed, so you can see how it looks like. So you compare the two. Ironing is very important, so make sure you iron it very well. And this is where your hem comes out from. Okay, so this is what the full view of the cape looks like, and this is what it looks like on the back as well. I hope you enjoyed making this beautiful tutorial with me. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. like, comment and subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.